Hey gang, Chris Maholka here. Today I'm going to teach you how to do a cemented loop on your fly line, do a loop-to-loop connection and a short butt section of leader material attached to your fly line, and then your loop-to-loop to your leader, so you'll have a fly line that's ready to fish. You'll need a couple things, some kind of thread. If you happen to be a fly tyer and have thread in a bobbin, that's a little bit easier to use, but any kind of thread will work as long as it's fairly strong. And then some kind of an adhesive that we're going to use to glue this loop with after we get it wrapped. A nail polish is fine. If you happen to have one of the clear or the quick curing UV type resins that you use for fly tying, that works well and it makes it a little bit quicker, but this will work just as fine. It takes a little bit longer to do. We will start with our fly line. This is the end that goes to your fly. It's not the end that connects to the reel. What we're going to do is take it and just bend a little bit of it over and grip it with our fingers on our off hand. So it's like that. You don't want it to be a very big wide loop, so we'll kind of squeeze it down a little bit and narrow it out. Now if you're using regular thread, put this between your fingers with the thread coming off the top of the spool. Hold it in your fingers like that. Then I'm just going to grab it with my off fingers that are holding the line. I'm going to start and go round. Now you can see if I was doing this with the bobbin, it would be a lot easier. I'll show you how that works. So we just, once again, grab the loose end with our off fingers there, and you start and you go around. You don't have to pull really tight. You don't want to cut the line here. You're just wrapping the thread on it to secure the loop. So after you get to where you've got maybe 1/8 of an inch or so, they're wrapped with thread, we're going to take and make a half hitch. And we're going to do this by just putting our thumb under the line and 2 fingers on top, and then just rolling our fingers over to make a loop. That loop goes over the... Now your thread should be secured. You've got a little loop form there, and you've got your main thread coming off and your little extra tag of thread coming off there. So I'm going to cut both those loose. You don't want to cut down too close and get your thread. Cut your thread. Now we've got this little extra piece of fly line coming off that you're holding onto. We're going to cut that at a diagonal that kind of runs flush with your fly line. I'm holding the scissors parallel to the fly line there. That way it makes a nice 45-degree cut that's going to lay down nicely on the fly line when you put cement over it. You gotta get rid of that little extra tabs of thread sticking out there. You need to check before you apply cement to make sure that the line is nice and straight. Like here it's got a little bit of a twist in it, so we'll just take it with our fingers and squeeze and twist. You want that loop to be nice and flat when you look at it on edge. So your little tag there is coming off and is tapered toward the rest of the line. Now if you're using a nail polish or some other kind of cement, you need to make sure you have used a thread that will soak in the cement. If it's a very strong nylon or some types of thread that don't soak up the adhesive or the coating we're going to put on it, it won't hold as tightly. So right now this one is a good cotton thread. I'm just going to take my brush and dab some nail polish on this. If you're doing nail polish, it's going to take a couple applications to make sure this is coated really well, and you actually want a little buildup over the top of it. If you're going to coat this with a UV setting resin, now you just take a bit of it and apply over the top, and it can take a thicker coat when you're using this type of cement. Make sure all of your threads and down to this little taper are coated, so you have a nice little lump of it that smooths out going over that end of the fly line that we've got sticking out there. After you've got that done, use your light to cure it. And rather than sitting here and turning it for a few minutes like you would with nail polish, a few seconds here with your UV light, that loop is ready to go to put our butt section and our leader on. I should mention that you can also use like 5-minute or 30-minute epoxy on this, and it will work quite well as well. You just have to make sure you keep rotating it as it dries so you don't get a big drop hanging up one side. Next, we're going to add a butt section to this, because if you have leaders that have loops on them, you don't want to keep attaching it and taking it off of this, or you'll eventually cut this piece of material. You'll have to make a new loop on the end. So the next thing we're going to do is put on a little butt section. Now this is 25-pound Maxima. This is what I was using to show the demonstration on how to tie perfection loops. And you just take about a foot-long section of it and you put a perfection loop on both ends. If you need a refresher on perfection loops, just go to my YouTube channel and look at that little quick minute-and-a-half video to show you how to make these nice perfection loops. So to make this nice flat connection, what we do is we take the fly leader, or the fly line, and we go through the loop on the butt section. Then we'll take the other end of the butt section and go through that loop on the end of the fly line. We'll push that knot on through the loop, and this is one of the reasons you don't want to make that loop too small on the end of your fly line, or you won't be able to attach them. Now as I slide these two together and get that other knot through the fly line loop there, they'll make a nice smooth connection like that. If your connection doesn't look like that, if it looks like you've got two little curly cues on both sides of the fly line, you've put the wrong ends together and you need to go back and correct it, because this way it snugs down really nicely. If you've got little curly cues, it will cut the coating on your fly line and cause your fly line to what's called a hinge. Now, to tell if you've got the right density or diameter of butt section, all you have to do is take the two together and bend it. If you can bend them up into a nice loop like that, you know that your butt section and your fly line are about the same weight and will produce a nice rolled cast. If for some reason this hinges into a real sharp little turn, you've either got too light of butt section or too light a fly line, or you somehow managed to cut the fly line and you may need to go back and redo this little loop. So once again, bends up there quite nicely. It tells you you've got a really good weight of butt section for that fly line. Now that your butt section is tied on, all we need to do is attach a leader and you're ready to go fishing. So we do these basically the same way we attach the butt section to the fly line. You take your butt section loop and you put it through the loop on the back end of your leader. The leader just goes up the butt section like that. Then you take the end of your leader and go through the loop on the butt section. When we pull those all together, get the loops through each other's knots there, or knots through each other's loops there, now you have a really nice smooth connection. So now you're set up. You have your fly line attached to your butt section and then your leader attached. So this way, when you use this setup, if you're out on the stream and you want to change from a light leader to a heavy leader, or you break this leader and need to change it, there's no knots to untie. You just back up, put the leader back through the loop. Now you've got a loop that's ready for a fresh leader.